guys, it's Miss Clark. I'm back for the final reading lesson of the week, and today is October 2nd, 2020, and we are reading about hurricanes by Seymour Simon. We are finally going to finish the book, and I hope you've been enjoying it as much as I have, because I really like learning facts about different things, so nonfiction texts are really fun for me. So our I can statement is I can answer questions about a nonfiction text using key details from the text, and I can describe the effects of a hurricane on people. So I actually have two, just like we have in the past couple days. So our main vocabulary word for today is the word forecaster, and it's on page 24, and we're going to have to use context clues or clues in the text to figure out what it means. So I hope you're paying attention and that you've got your thinking cap on. Now, we're going to continue reading, but first I want you to make sure that you have out your know, want to know, and learn chart from the past couple of days. So make sure you have this open in your notebook and that you can modify the K about things you know, and then also add some things that you would like to know. Okay. So we're going to talk about the vocabulary word while I'm reading, and we're going to look at some of those questions again like we have in the past couple of days. So those are who, what, well, not really who, but what, when, where, why, and how questions. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand my screen so that you can see the book better and move it to the center. Right there. So here we go. Oh, some of the questions that I wanted to review before we start are: what effects do hurricanes have on people, homes, the environment, etc.? So what is the difference between a warning and a watch? That is something that a lot of adults need to learn too, including myself. I get confused as well. So where can people find out about hurricanes? When are watches issued? Why do forecasters use satellites? And then why is it important to be prepared for and know when a hurricane is coming? Okay, so let's continue reading. So we're going to finish the book today, and hopefully you will enjoy it. So it says, forecasters need to find out where a hurricane is developing and how strong it is. At one time, this was possible only when people saw the storm from a ship or from land. Nowadays, forecasters use satellite images, airplanes, radar, and computers to track down a hurricane. Weather satellites orbit the Earth at an altitude or height of nearly 22,000 miles over the equator. That is a lot. Satellites send back images day and night of bands of clouds and early signs of a tropical storm. To get accurate readings of wind speed and pressure, pilots and scientists fly right through a hurricane into its eye. When a hurricane gets close to the coast, it is pictured on land-based weather radars. So Doppler radars, which are what these are in this picture. So it's like basically a picture of what's going on in the air, and it's showing it from above. So they show wind speeds and location and quickly detect changes. The National Hurricane Center takes the information from radars and other sources and uses computers to help forecast the path, like the direction, speed, and strength of hurricanes. Which is really fascinating. It's so cool. All right, so hurricane and storm warnings are broadcast over radio and television and are also available on the internet. Okay, so going back to this first word, forecasters. So can we conclude what a forecaster is? Is a forecaster someone that finds a hurricane and finds the origin of the hurricane and uses satellite images, airplanes, radar, and computers to track them? Okay, so like a weather forecaster is kind of like what I was thinking. They kind of predict when and where stuff's going to happen. Okay, so the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, so the NOAA, weather radio broadcasts warnings, watches, forecasts, and other weather information 24 hours a day. This is kind of like the National Weather Service. If it's hard to explain. Sometimes on the radio, you can hear like it'll say they'll interrupt your music you're listening to, and they'll say the National Weather Service has issued a thunderstorm warning for blah blah blah. Right? So they're kind of like that, except you have to go find the information yourself. These radio stations cover all the states, coastal waters, Puerto Rico, and United States Pacific territories, so basically everywhere. A hurricane or a flood watch is usually given within 36 hours of an approaching storm. So that's kind of like ahead of time. During a watch, it's important to prepare and decide what you and your family are going to do during the storm. A hurricane or a flood warning is usually given within 24 hours for a particular area. So a watch is just you're watching out. Right? A warning is you got to be ready. So, a flood warning is usually given within 24 hours. Okay, I already read that. Sorry. During a warning, listen to local radio or television stations for safety instructions. Oh, here it comes. The National Weather Service radios are specially equipped to give you immediate news about tropical hurricanes and floods. Regular National Weather Service programs send out a special tone that turns on these radios in the listening area when there is an emergency, kind of like what I talked about earlier. The radios can be connected to lights, computers, even a device that shakes a bed so that everyone is awake and can get the information. Whoa, that's kind of creepy. Details about NWS radios can be found at www.weather.gov/NWR on the internet. Okay, so here's the picture that they have. Different radio stations you can hear about for hurricane evacuation, which is pretty useful information. So if you are ever caught in a hurricane, it's important to know what to do. The first thing to remember is to listen closely to the radio, television, or NOAA weather radio for official bulletins, so like news reports. Follow instructions and try to leave immediately with your family if you are instructed to do so. Do not stay in a house if you are ordered to leave. Stay away from windows and doors during the storm. During the worst of the storm, lie on the floor, under a table, or another sturdy object. That's pretty important. Make sure you have a battery-driven portable radio. So that means it has to be battery-powered. And keep listening for storm information. Keep on hand at least a 5-day supply of water and food that won't spoil. So mostly like canned food or like prepackaged food. So yeah, grown-ups used to make a joke like, they call them hurricane snacks. But if you're in an emergency, hurricane snacks are a real lifesaver. Okay, so hurricane snacks consist of like potato chips, popcorn that's already popped, Vienna sausages, stuff that comes in cans or in bags that can be opened and easily accessed so you can eat them quickly. Okay, and that they won't go bad if you have them for a long time. Okay, so even after a hurricane passes by, conditions outside may still be dangerous. So here are some tips for you and your family. So keep listening to the radio or television for updates on flooding. So wait until an area is declared safe before going back to it. Stay away from moving water. Rapidly moving water, even less than a foot deep, can sweep you away. You heard that right. If you see water flowing across the street, turn around and go another way. Don't play in flooded areas. They are dangerous. The water may also be electrically charged from downed or underground power lines. That's important. Use a flashlight for emergency lighting. Don't use a candle or a flame indoors if the power goes off. Oh, I didn't know that. Learning stuff too. Use bottled or stored water for drinking and cooking. Use tap water only when local officials say it is safe. Because of all the flooding, sometimes like sewage water gets mixed in with the drinking water, and it's just a big old mess. So just use bottled water if you can get a hold of it. Use the telephone only for emergency calls. If someone needs to be rescued or helped, call the police or local officials. By preparing ahead and listening to the radio and following instructions, everyone can be much safer during a hurricane. All right, so there they are doing the cleanup after the storm goes through. All right, last page. It says, people are now much more aware of hurricanes than they were ever before. When a hurricane threatens the United States, it becomes big news. Even people who live in the middle of the country and will never experience a hurricane at home watch what is happening on television during a major hurricane. Along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, hurricanes are a fact of life. Nowadays, forecasts combined with timely warnings about hurricane dangers are saving lives. The more we learn about hurricanes, the better our chances of staying safe. That is right. So at the back of the book, it has a glossary telling what the words mean. Woohoo! Text features. All right, so you can read more about hurricanes online. They've got a couple of hurricane books on Epic. Actually, they've got quite a few. And also tornadoes, too, if you're interested. So, let's keep going. Let's look at these questions that we have right here. So, what is the difference between a warning and a watch? Okay, so remember, a warning is a warning is bad. A warning is you be prepared. A watch is you're watching for one. Okay, so you're watching ahead of time. Warning, act fast. Bad time. All right, so what are some things people can do to be safer during a hurricane? Okay, so we talked about that, the little list at the end of the story. So where can people find out about hurricane and storm warnings? Talked about that too. So when are watches issued? Okay, so remember, a watch, you're watching ahead of time. And then when are warnings issued? Up close. So when should you begin preparing for a hurricane? And then why do forecasters use satellites, airplanes, radar, and computers when tracking hurricanes? Well, sounds pretty useful to me. And then how do people prepare for hurricanes? That is a great question. I like that one a lot. So talk about these with someone in your home, with your family, your brother, sister, whoever you're hanging out with. Talk about those things because they're really awesome questions. So after we've been reading, you're going to add 3 facts to the L side, the learning side of the KWL chart. So 3 more. So you should have 3, 6, 9. Woohoo! Yay for counting. All right. So if you have time for a writing response, you can describe 2 or more effects a hurricane has on people and how a person should prepare to minimize the effects. And then last time, or the last one, it says, what fascinated you the most about hurricanes? I love that that question. It's just, it's very eye-opening to see what you guys pick up on. So I can't wait to read them in your notebooks. Now, if you're not in my class, that's okay. You can always tell me on the playground what you learned about hurricanes. Sorry, I got a bug in the classroom. Woohoo! So anyway, I hope you guys have had a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!